Welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about hard time. Hard time. What is hard time? Well, before I talk to you about what hard time is, I should talk to you about a DC imprint that was known as the Focus Imprint. It started in 2004. The whole point of the Focus Imprint was to have characters that had superpowers, but didn't necessarily use them in the stereotypical ways like putting on costumes or saving people's lives or anything like that. So you get different series like Fraction, which was written by David Tishman with art by Timothy Green, who's a pretty famous artist now. This is about a bunch of guys who find a suit of armor in a warehouse, and they basically each take a piece of the armor and totally misuse it. That was an okay series. Kinetic was another series from the Focus Imprint. This one, Fraction, by the way, lasted 6 issues. Kinetic lasted 8 issues. This one was written by Kelly Puckett, who I think is a totally underrated writer, with art by Warren Pleece. And this is all about a kid who has like almost every disease known to man, and his mom is giving him injections and stuff every morning, and he's like a hemophiliac. You name it, he's got it. And except that he finds out when he sort of hits something, like he gets hit by a bus and ends up totally healthy, and he gets power from that. That was a really good series, but because Kelly Puckett, you guys out there who know the style of writing of Kelly Puckett doesn't usually use a lot of dialogue. Kelly Puckett's more known for just creating a sort of visual template. So it's a really decompressed series, and sadly 8 issues isn't nearly enough to really get into it, but I really like that one. The series that lasted the longest from the Focus Imprint was Hard Time. Hard Time, when it was out, was one of my absolute favorite series. It was written by Steve Gerber of Howard the Duck fame and drawn by a favorite artist of mine, Brian Hurtt. So what's the story of Hard Time? It's this line I said started in 2004. That was a couple years after the Columbine massacre. This is actually somewhat of a satirical send-up of the Columbine massacre. There's 2 kids holding a bunch of other students hostage in a library, and one of them his name is Ethan Harrow. He's the protagonist. He's the main character. He thinks that all the guns are loaded with blanks. Meanwhile, his buddy, who's the real psycho, has a gun loaded with real bullets and starts shooting people in the library. Then out of Ethan Harrow's body comes an astral projection, but the astral projection has power, like remote viewing, but with like a kinetic power to hurt somebody. So Ethan, immediately with this spirit form he pushes out, kills his friend who's been killing everybody in the library. And then we quickly, within the very first issue, see Ethan standing trial and being given 50 years with no chance of parole until he's been there for 50 years. So he gets sent to a massive lockdown prison, which is kind of amazing because it's like the prison is kind of like high school, just a more twisted version of it. And the series follows Ethan as he sort of navigates his way through the Aryan Brotherhood, the Cholos, I mean, you name it, of the stereotypical people that run prisons, he has to deal with it. And meanwhile, when he goes to bed at night, this astral projection form of his goes out and causes mayhem. So this series actually outlasted the Focus Imprint, which was kind of funny. So there were 12 issues in its first series, and then it came back in a second series. And it's kind of funny for you guys who like comic book history. So it came back in a season 2 that only lasted 7 issues. And I don't know if you guys remember that year when DC like fast forwarded their characters like 1 year. So the way he did his final issue was he fast forwarded 49 years to see what would happen with Ethan, at the end. And it's just a really, what was so good about it? It just was really so incredibly well written, and the dialogue was so snappy, and the characters were really interesting. You find yourself caring for all these characters that, you find yourself caring for this neo-Nazi guy. All these different characters, you find yourself sort of really engrossed by them. And Ethan Harrow is, he's just this prototypical smartass, and sounds a lot like Howard the Duck, actually. But I really love the book, and it's just yet another one of those series that lasted for a short time and then was gone. And sadly, Steve Gerber is no longer with us. But I actually think this was the best thing Steve Gerber did. And I was really sad that he didn't get to finish it. But DC must have some ideas for this series, because they put out one paperback around 2004, and then they put out a second trade paperback 2 years ago. So is DC trying to hold on to the copyright? I don't know. Are they thinking about bringing this concept back at some time? I don't know. But it is a great concept. I hope they do bring it back. It would be great. It'd be a great tribute to Steve Gerber. Anyway, that's it for me today. Make sure to like me and check me out on all the Pinterest and all those things like that. I know we have a heavy-duty presence on Pinterest. Make sure to subscribe, guys. We'll see you next time.